Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. It is Wednesday, March 13th, and Joe Biden. Good old Joey. The puppet, the geriatric, the guy that hits a golf ball backwards, falls up a flight of stairs, looks for dead people in the crowd, converses with dead people in meetings, let that one sink in, takes photos with people at conventions and speaking engagements that were never there in the first place, try to work your way through that one, falls off his bicycle standing stationary, trips over a sandbag during a graduation ceremony and can't get himself back up, fights with his teleprompter every single time. Here's an astonishing statistic. Joe Biden's teleprompter is undefeated. It's never lost against Joe Biden. And they've had an insane amount of matchups over the last 3 years. Oh, that's an astonishing one. And lastly, he takes hardball questions from the press, such as, what's your favorite ice cream, Mr. President? Folks, this guy is the worst president in American history. I know you know, but Patriots, damn it, it's so great to be back with you on this fine Wednesday morning. And let me tell you, it's a big day for us. Not just for me personally, but for us as a community. For me personally, it's my birthday. I hit the big 3-5, folks, 35 years old. And I couldn't be more than happy to celebrate my birthday with all of you Patriots. We got an awesome community here, and I've said this from since day one, that our community is what makes this channel great. We all get along. We know each other in the live chat. We know each other in the comment section. Folks, I really appreciate all of you. And again, I couldn't be more than happy to celebrate my 35th birthday with all of you fine American Patriots. And also, folks, I don't know if you noticed, we hit 50,000 yesterday. 50,000 people have joined the movement, joined the Bald Brad Army, joined to get conservative thought and ideas out there to new viewers. Folks, I really appreciate you. 50,000 is insane. We've only been up and running for 3 years. We've only been around for 3 freaking years and we have 50,000? I didn't think we'd have 50,000 in 10 years. This is insane. We're growing, folks. 50,000 now. Here's to another 50,000. We are on the road to 100,000. Can we do it, folks? I don't know. Can we do it? I didn't think we'd hit 50. Here's the road to 100,000. Thank you so much, Patriots. I really do appreciate you. Well, let's jump in the news today because we got some bombshell reports coming out of the key testimony here from Joe Biden himself regarding the documents. Yes, the classified documents that were strewn out freaking everywhere in his garage, Biden Penn Center, hell, everywhere. So President Joe Biden lied. I know, shocker. You guys are like, really? Really, Joe Biden lied? After we just got done watching that dude lie for an hour and a half during the State of the Union address. Go figure that the guy would lie during his, I don't know, his transcript, his testimony, whatever you want to call it. So President Joe Biden lied about his testimony with special counsel Robert Hur, according to new transcripts of Hur's interviews with Biden over his handling of classified documents. Oh, really? Wait till we break this down, folks. We got a lot here. We got a lot here. Hur's February report concluded that Biden willfully, yes, you heard that, Biden willfully retained classified documents. Remember when he was going after Trump for the classified documents and the Democrat Party was losing their minds? Get rid of them, put them behind bars. He willfully did the same thing, and all of a sudden they're quiet. Crickets. You don't hear anything from the Democrat Party. So he willfully retained classified documents, but recommended no criminal charges, in part because it is said that Biden had a faulty memory and would appear as a sympathetic old man to a jury. The dude's not even fit to hold trial. The guy's not even fit to stand in the defendant's box. And somehow he's fit to be president of the United States. How that one works out, you guys, I don't know. I've been trying to, connect the dots and the pieces. I can't do it. I can't. I've tried. I know all of you have. It doesn't make sense. To Democrats, it does, which is why they're still going to show out in the millions. They're going to show out into the millions to vote for this guy. One of the key details included in the report was that Biden did not remember the year his son Beau died. Biden said that he was taken aback by a question about his son, claiming that it was Hur who brought up the death. Turns out that was a bunch of BS because Joe Biden was the one that brought it up himself. Quote, there's even a reference that I don't remember when my son died. Biden said in February. Quote, how in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. Well, maybe so, Mr. President, but it still wasn't Hur who brought it up. It was you that brought it up. So the transcripts that was obtained by ABC show that it was actually Biden who brought up his son. It wasn't Hur. He lied. He lied. Biden's confusion came after he was asked about what he was doing after Trump took office. And so I hadn't at this point. I hadn't walked away from the idea that I may run for office again. But if I ran again, I'd be running for president, he said, according to the transcript obtained by ABC. And so what happened, though? What month did Beau die? Oh, God, May 30th. So here he is. He can't recall. A massive event that took place in anybody's life when a child dies. Hell, even a parent, if they were to die. It's a massive event that you probably would never forget, but Joe Biden does. Joe Biden can't remember 8 years ago, 8 minutes ago. Hell, he can't remember anything. So two people at the interview chimed in to help him. This is so similar to what we see with the press, always chiming in to fill in the blank spaces that he can't recall anything in. So they chimed in and said it was 2015. After which Biden said, was it 2015 he died? Is he still alive? Okay, I added that last part in there, but was it 2015 that he died? It was May of 2015 one person responded. Got the transcript right here for y'all. Elsewhere in the transcript, Biden said, I'm a young man. Come on. You really know somebody's like just gone. Like they're not with us when he goes, I'm young. Joe, really, buddy? Are you? Holy crap. So it's not a problem when he asked by Hur to discuss previous events as accurately as possible. Biden also made a comment about how he hoped investigators had not found any risque pictures of my wife in a bathing suit, adding she's beautiful. It's an odd one to throw out there. Biden also told interviewers that he did not mean to keep any classified documents. This is where the lie comes in big time, folks. Not only did he throw kind of a small lie out there that Hur brought up the fact that his son died when he actually brought it up himself, but this right here, this is a huge lie. Biden also told interviewers that he did not mean to keep any classified documents, and we'll unravel this for you, folks, because we got a long-form show here today. Quote, I had no purpose for them. That's a bunch of BS. And I think it would be inappropriate for me to keep any clearly classified documents, he said, before saying that it was his staff who packed his belongings from the White House. Again, hold on to this key statement here, you guys. This is a direct quote from Joe Biden. Hold on to that. So he's blaming his staff for packing up his classified documents and throwing them just everywhere. I don't want to hold them responsible or get them in trouble, but I believe they were the ones who were packing up and were deciding, where things were going, to the best of my knowledge. Biden also discussed moving boxes, which were full of classified documents, out of the way in his garage to park his car. He said he did not know what was in the boxes. Quote, I remember moving boxes, literally physically moving them with help, one side to the other so I can get the Corvette in the garage on the left. Biden said other portions of the transcript show Biden talking about his Corvette and making car sounds. It just shows you how just gone this guy is. Why Joe Biden's making car sounds, I don't know, you guys. I don't know. So the reason why that's a big deal, not only because he lied, but the fact that we know that he's lying because we have the transcripts of what he said. So here's a little bit of Robert Hur's testimony throughout the day. And we're going to just go by chunk, and then I'll reveal why he just straight up lied. So former special counsel Robert Hur is pushing back Tuesday over claims from Democrats that his report on President Joe Biden's handling of classified documents exonerated the president. So they spun this. The Democrats have spun this by saying, Joe Biden's fine. He's mentally fit. He's sharp, right? We've done the whole montage of them saying 4 more years. The guy's fit. He's sharp. He's a mentor. He pushes us. He asks us hard questions like, what day is it? Who's president? Who the hell are you? Those are the hardball questions. They've spun this, you guys, to make it seem like because Hur didn't push forward with some sort of prosecution, that it exonerated him. So he comes out and saying, well, that's not the case whatsoever. Quote, so this lengthy, expensive, and independent investigation resulted in a complete exoneration of President Joe Biden. Of course, it's coming from a Democrat, said to Hur. For every document discussed in your report, you found insufficient evidence that the president violated any laws about possession or retention of classified materials. The primary law that you analyze for potential prosecution was part of the Espionage Act, which criminalizes willful retention or disclosure of national defense information. Is that correct? Quote, Congresswoman, that is one statute that we analyzed. I need to go back and make sure that I take note of the word that you used, exoneration. That is not a word that is used in the report, and that is not part of my task as a prosecutor. The judgment that I received and that I ultimately reached was relating to whether sufficient evidence existed such that the likely outcome would be a conviction. You exonerated him, the Democrat said. I did not exonerate him, Hur shot back. That word does not appear in the report, meaning they're adding to it. They're spinning it. They're trying to make it seem like President Joe Biden was all fine. He did everything right. He lied, you guys. Again, I know I'm waiting. I'm waiting big time to sit there and uncover this for you all, but there's a lot packaged in here. This went on freaking all day. Ex-special counsel Robert Hur testified again on Tuesday that he did not exonerate President Joe Biden in his report detailing the investigation into mishandling of classified records, repeatedly shutting down Democrat lawmakers. It wasn't just one. that did this, folks. A lot of them were trying to make it seem like Joe Biden did nothing wrong. Hur, who resigned as special counsel after releasing his report, which found Biden willfully retained classified records, again, willfully retained records, and did not bring charges against the president, claiming he exonerated the president completely. Again, that's what Democrats are saying. Joe Biden willfully retained documents. Democrats are saying that he didn't and that he's exonerated. He did everything fine. So check this out. President Biden acted responsibly. Hold on to all this, folks. We're painting a big picture for you. Cooperated completely. And the decision to decline criminal charges was relatively straightforward. The top Democrat of the House Judiciary Committee, Representative Jerry Nadler, the dude's been off his rocker as well. He needs to go. I don't know how that guy keeps getting elected. The report represents the complete and total exoneration of President Biden. Then you got knucklehead Jamie Raskin saying the special counsel exonerated President Joe Biden. I told you, they're all lining up saying the same thing. You have another Democrat, which we just got done saying that he was exonerated. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Furthermore, Biden kept classified documents about Afghanistan after presidency. Why did he do that? Again, he lied about it. You got them spinning about it. You're saying that he was exonerated when he wasn't. And now he kept classified documents about Afghanistan. We're going to get to how he lied and what he actually lied about. President Biden kept documents about Afghanistan after his vice presidency, some of which were stored in unsecured places in his home. One of the documents was a Thanksgiving memo in which he had a strong motive to keep classified material. We're getting into it now, folks. We're getting into it. One of the motives that we addressed in the report was that the issue of whether or not a troop surge should be sent to Afghanistan in 2019 was the hotly contested and debated issue with the Obama administration back in 2009, and one in which, by then, Vice President Biden had a significant role, Hur replied, and he felt very strongly about it. According to Hur's report, Biden believed President Obama's 2008 troop surge was a mistake on par with the Vietnam War, and wanted to record to show that, or wanted on record to show that he was right about Afghanistan, that his critics were wrong, and that he had opposed President Obama's mistaken decision forcefully when it was made, that his judgment was sound when it mattered most. Now, how does this play into everything? Why did he want the Afghanistan documents? Why did he want these classified documents to begin with? And why did he lie? Well, why did he do all these things? Well, I don't know. Probably because ultimately he wanted to write a book. Check this out. Ex-special counsel Robert Hur agreed he identified evidence that pride and money were strong motivating factors for Biden to retain classified documents. But Biden saying he knew nothing about it. But did he? As the former vice president sought to keep materials to use for a memoir. Hold on a second. I was told he didn't know anything about these classified documents. Hell, he wasn't even the one that packaged them up. Hold on a second. As the former vice president sought to keep materials willfully, and what was he going to use them for? Oh, for a memoir he wrote that brought him $8 million. That seems like a good reason to keep classified documents. That seems like something you might want to write about in your memoir regarding Afghanistan and how you were opposing what took place there and Barack Obama was for it. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan questioned Hur during a public hearing, again just the other day, and asked him, why did Joe Biden, in your words, willfully retain and disclose classified material? Quote, he knew the law. Been in office for like 50 years, 5 decades in the United States Senate. Chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, 8 years as vice president. He got briefed every day as vice president. He's been in the Situation Room, Jordan said. In fact, you know he knew the rules because you said so on page 226. Jordan referred to Hur's report, in which he stated that Biden was deeply familiar with the measures taken to safeguard classified documents. When pressed on why Biden broke the rules, Hur replied that his conclusion as to exactly why the president did what he did is not one that we explicitly address in the report. But Jordan pushed back. Quote, I think he did tell us, Jordan said. I think you told us, Mr. Hur, page 231, you said this, President Biden has strong motivations. That's a key word. We're getting to motive now. President Biden had strong motivations to ignore the proper procedures for safeguarding the classified documents in his notebooks. Why did he have strong motivations? Because next word, because he decided months before leaving office that he wanted to write a book. That was his motive. He knew the rules. He broke them because he was writing a book. Jordan reminded that Hur explained that Biden began meeting with the ghostwriter for the book while he was still vice president. That's why he kept them. And this dude sat there and lied about it. Well, I wasn't packaging up. I didn't know they were there. But yet you wanted to use a classified material to write a memoir of which you're going to get paid 8 million buckaroos for and then pretend like you knew nothing about it. There's the motive, Jordan said. How much did President Biden get paid for this book? Her note, the figure that stated in the report, replied, it may be 8 million if that's accurate. 8 million. Joe Biden had 8 million reasons to break the rules, took classified information, and shared it with the guy who was writing the book. He knew the rules, but he broke them for a big $8 million in a book advance. Jordan, quoting Hur's report, said Biden viewed his notebooks as irreplaceable. And there's a record here that most of the moments of his presidency were recorded and jotted down, and that was being shared with the ghostwriter. So there you have it, folks. It was pride and money. It was pride and money, and this man lied about it. And why did he lie about it? One, he knew he did something wrong. He's been around for a while, just like Hur said. He knew the rules. Very similar to how Hillary Clinton knew the rules. She's been around for a while. Hell, her husband was president. She knew the rules, why she shouldn't have a classified server with classified information on that server in her bathroom. And remember when they broke the cell phones with the hammers, shatter staffers, just shatter everything, and she was just, released scotch-free? Well, is it scotch-free or scot-free? I can't remember. But y'all know what's going on here. Massive lie from the Biden administration. Democrats are trying to spin this as if this guy did nothing wrong. He did a lot wrong. And speaking of Democrats trying to spin this, Schiff spars with her in heated exchange over a report that disparaged Biden. That did not happen. So Schiff is one of the most evil people in Congress, and he comes from my home state of California, and I apologize that we produce people like this. Well, you got this knucklehead sparring with special counsel Robert Hur in a contentious House hearing on Tuesday where the California congressman accused Hur of playing politics with his report on President Biden's handling classified documents, which earned pushback from Hur. I want to go back to your opening statement in which you said that you did not disparage the president. Your report, but of course you did disparage the president, Schiff told Hur during a Tuesday hearing. You disparaged him in terms you had to know would have a maximal political impact. You understood your report would be public, right? Well, I understood based on comments that the Attorney General had made that he had committed to make as much of my report public as consistent with legal policy and legal requirements, Hur said. Schiff then suggested that Hur could have simply commented on instances where Biden could not remember information about certain documents rather than make a generalized statement about his memory, referring that much talked about section of the report where Hur characterized Biden as an elderly man with a poor memory. That was it's a fact. It's a fact that was stated. We all see it. The dude fights with his teleprompter. He loses his train of thought. That's why a lot of people speculate the guy was doped up during the State of the Union address because somewhat he was coherent. My question for all of you in the comment section, what do you think the drug was? Was it Adderall, Ritalin, something to keep you cognizant? Because the dude look, he was far off. He still mumbled. He had his rough times with the teleprompter, off the teleprompter. The times that he misspoke, Democrats are going after him for it. So again, transcripts were released. Joe Biden lied. One, he lied the fact that Hur was the one that brought up about his son's death when Joe Biden in fact did so. He lied that he knew nothing about the classified documents, even though he kept them himself to help write the memoir by relaying the information of classified documents to his ghostwriter. He kept them and he blamed it on his staffers, which is so reminiscent, you guys. The staffers are always the fall man, if you notice that. And where am I getting this from? If you recall the January 6th events, all the 40,000 hours of video footage, when Tucker Carlson obtained that from Congress, it actually showed timestamps where Democrats viewed the footage and they claimed that they never saw it. And so these congressmen and women on the Democrat side of the aisle said, oh, well, it was our staffers. We never actually saw this footage. It was our staffers that sat there and pulled snippets and allowed us to push the same 6 minutes of the 40,000 hours for years. It's a bunch of hubbub. We all know what's going on here. They're trying to cover this stuff up. They're trying to cover for the president here. The man is not fit to hold office. He doesn't know what's going on. The Afghanistan was a debacle, and they blame Trump. There's still people, even on the right-hand side of the aisle, that are blaming Trump for Afghanistan, going, well, he negotiated the pullout, and so Joe Biden was just following suit. You're the commander-in-chief. If you don't feel like it's fit, it's a good date to pull out, and you think things are going to go south, how about you don't pull out? And mind you, one of the Marines that died at the gate during this guy's botched pullout, his father was arrested during the State of the Union because he brought up Abbey Gate, that his son died. But yet you have these people that blocked the motorcade That's why partially Joe Biden was late. They blocked the motorcade. Nothing happened to them. Isn't that astonishing that the guy whose son stood up for this country literally gave his life because this guy didn't know what he was doing because he's not all there? He gets arrested, but you have these crazy protesters blocking a presidential motorcade. Nothing happens to them. It just shows you where the Democrat Party, their ideas basically line, and it's just outrageous stuff. Outrageous stuff. So the president lied. Nothing's going to happen to him in the same way that, Hillary Clinton lied. Nothing happened to her. But I heard the Hillary Clinton investigation's actually opened back up, so we'll keep you up to date on that bad boy. Maybe we'll do a side video on it. But I've heard the FBI has some new evidence, according to Donald Trump. Some new emails have surfaced years later regarding Hillary Clinton. Again, we'll make sure you're up to date. If you're enjoying this episode, folks, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us a comment down below. We'd really enjoy your support. We're not done yet. We got Jackie Heinrich of Fox News, baby. The Wonder Woman questioning Karine Jean-Pierre here on quite honestly a variety of topics, but the most important one, why is the president not using executive action? Like, is that just off the table now? And why is he not doing it? Watch her spin this one. Let's roll it.
Thank you, Karine. The president said yesterday that he was hoping executive action on the border would happen by itself, that Congress would legislate it. Can you just confirm for us that this indicates that he's no longer considering executive action on the border?
Well, the president has been very clear, and I've been very clear. Anytime I've asked about executive actions here, the bottom line is, in order to actually have change, extensive change, real change, comprehensive change, that Senate bill that was negotiated between Republicans and obviously Democrats in the Senate would have been the best way to go. It would have been the toughest, fairest piece of legislation, law, if you will, if it had been moved and the president was able to sign it into law. And that's what's important. The president is trying to make it very clear: no executive action would have that effect, the effect that this bipartisan negotiation would have had. And he's going to be optimistic. He wants to see it moved. And let's not forget the reason why it was stopped, the reason that it didn't go forward, is because Republicans were told in Congress to reject it by the former president. That's what happened. They chose politics instead of a majority of the American people. I do want to lay out here a couple of things. It would have meant more resources to secure the border, Border Patrol agents, immigration judges, asylum officers, and law enforcement personnel to combat fentanyl. That's what would have been. That is what's in that bipartisan negotiation, and so much more. And they rejected it. Republicans rejected it because of politics. But the president stands behind the majority of Americans who want to see change happen at the border, who wants to see our immigration system that's been broken for decades fixed.
Jackie's going to continue to press her on this. Just a few points here because she's totally manipulating everybody. Just the American public, both Democrat and Republican, on everything she just said. Nothing that she just stated there actually solves the border crisis. Like, nothing whatsoever. Does it help a little bit? Absolutely, which is why the Border Patrol Union tends to be in favor of it, because they'll take anything from this administration, because the administration has given them nothing but grief and hardship for the last 3 years. Furthermore, she's going to sit there and say, oh, well, there's just political pods, it's just Republicans playing politics, all these other things that she always does, blames us for it. Mind you, folks, they had all three branches of government for like 2 years, did nothing about it. Nothing about it. And also the question was, is he going to use executive action? And it's astonishing that she's going to bring up the fact of, well, we should institute this in laws and Congress should do this. Well, if executive actions didn't work out so well, why do you use so many of them? They're using executive action on student loan debt. So if it's so important to pass laws through, like that's the most best important way to do it, then why didn't you do it in terms of student loan debt forgiveness? Well, we all know why, because the Supreme Court struck it down and decided to put executive actions through anyways. So this is just all baloney. It's all lies.
I understand his preference to legislate, but the reason I'm asking is we've had conflicting answers over the span of a few weeks on whether from the president on whether executive action was something he could do. He first said that he had done everything he could with the stroke of a pen. Then he said that there was more he could do, but that you would prefer that Congress legislate this, and things were under consideration potentially for executive orders that would make changes to the border who could come across. And then yesterday, it seemed like he said no, nothing's happening.
So I disagree. I think there are a couple of parts here. You're asking me if there's executive actions that we can take, and what we're saying is there are no executive actions that would have done the work or would have actually been able to deal with the issue that's happening at the border and starting to really fix the immigration system than the bipartisan bill that came out of the Senate, negotiation that came out of the Senate. And we are saying that that's the best way to go. We are always looking at options. We have said this. We're always looking at options, executive actions, right, to see how to move forward. But we believe, fundamentally, we believe, and it is proven by what is in that negotiation, that the way to move forward is to actually move forward with what could have been the toughest, fairest law that we've had in some time. So we're continuing to call for that. We always say,
So executive action
we always
aren't off the table?
we always say that.
I understand what you're saying about the bill. I do. But yes or no?
But you're not. What I'm saying to you is that we always look at all our options. That's what I'm saying to you. But we are saying also is the only way to move forward to actually deal with this issue, the challenges that we're seeing that Republicans rejected because of the last president, because of Donald Trump, is that negotiation bill, that bipartisan negotiation bill. That is the way to move forward here. Are we always looking at options? Yes, but we haven't made a decision on that. That's the bottom line. We have not made a decision on that. But we want to see this bipartisan Senate negotiation proposal move forward that Republicans are rejecting because of Donald Trump. They are putting politics ahead of what works for the American people, what the American people actually want to see.
Folks, it's the fairest and toughest piece of legislation that's ever existed on the border. Does it seem fair that other countries are getting like $60 billion and we're getting a fraction of that for the border? Hey, you heard me correctly. Yes. Is it fair that other countries like Ukraine, Israel, the Gaza Strip, all that stuff, Palestinians, Iran, getting a total of like $60 billion and the border's getting like 15 to 20? Does that seem fair to you that your taxpayer dollars are going somewhere else other than actually supposedly fixing the issue at the border, which none of that actually fixes the issue at the border? And by the way, Joe Biden's executive action would have fixed what's taking place at the border, so she's just straight out lying here on multiple fronts. It's almost like create the list and take a stab at whatever one you want.
Different subject. Why was the president in that interview using the Gaza Ministry of Health, just run by Hamas, their numbers on the death toll in Gaza? There was a 30,000 figure that he cited on MSNBC. The last time he cited Hamas numbers, officials here dismissed it as a reference to publicly available data. But I would assume that the U.S. has its own assessment of what the death toll is.
We've been very clear here. There are public available data that you all also are taking a look at, that we are citing as well. That's what we're talking about. That's what the president. You could use whatever you want. I'm just saying that. But we have said, we've been really clear. There are publicly available data that showed, sadly, how many deaths that we have seen in Gaza. And the president has been very clear. There's too much. It's tragic. It's tragic what we're seeing. And the president's going to continue to speak to that. Go ahead, Gabe.
It drives me wild that she constantly says, we've been clear. You've been the least clear administration by far that's ever existed in the United States. You haven't been clear whatsoever. You've been lying more than any administration, which is saying a lot because there's been some terrible administrations out there. You continually lie to the American public. You can't answer simple questions, yes or no questions. You dodge it, you spin it, you manipulate it, you gaslight all of us. And quite frankly, Karina, we've had enough of it. Wild stuff coming from this administration. They continue to do it. We got to sit here all the way till November. Please let November be it. I can't take any more of Karina. I know all of you can't take enough of her, or any more of her, rather. Holy Lordy. It's just, again, it's astonishing to me that she's going to sit there and say, oh, well, the legislative pathway, putting laws in the books, it's the most efficient way. It actually solves the root cause. It really fixes it. If that was the case, then why are you using so many executive actions, upwards of more than any president ever? I'm not saying it is, but it's close to it, if not has happened, being more than any president ever. If it's so important, then why, again, are you using executive action consistently when it comes to student loan debt forgiveness rather than pushing it through the legislature? Why are you sitting there doing something the Supreme Court said you already can't do, that it's an overreach of the executive branch, you can't do it, but yet you're going to push forward executive actions doing the very thing that you're saying that you shouldn't do here, that it should be through the legislative branch? I really, I messaged Jackie. I said she had a winning point. She brought the same point up. It's not my tactic. It was Jackie's tactic. And Jackie was on point, just like she is here, saying that very same thing. How are you going to say that through the border, you shouldn't use executive actions and you should go through the legislature, you should go through Congress to sit there and push forward, but yet when it comes to student loan debt forgiveness, you're not going to do that very same thing? It's an amazing got you question because there's no way you can navigate around that without manipulating, lying, and spinning, which is what we're seeing once again from her. Well, we're going to end it off with this news story here today. We got Mr. Ted Cruz here saying government watchdogs are going woke. Folks, this is such an insane article about DEI and hiring practices reverting to race again, which you would think with the civil rights movement, slavery, Jim Crow laws, that Democrats, I mean, hell, everybody across the board would be like, this is a bad idea. Why is it Democrats are constantly wanting to revert back in history and basically regress us rather than progress us forward? Just wait till we break this one down. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz says a council of federal inspectors generals in pushing the diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda, charging that the institution is encouraging offices of inspector generals to illegally consider race in its hiring practices, in a letter exclusively obtained by the Daily Wire. It's so wild. It's so insane that we're reverting back. Folks, this is the same party that's for segregation of like graduation ceremonies in dorm rooms on college campuses and in the public education system. They're for this stuff. By the way, Republicans is the main reason why we have so many freedoms for black people and just minorities in general. It's not the Democrat Party. It's such revisionist history that it was the Democrat Party that we should all be thanking for the civil rights movement and the abolition of slavery and all these things. No. Thank the Republican Party. By far through history, you wouldn't have any of this stuff if it wasn't for Republicans. It's such an insane revisionist history. Some Howard Zinn stuff, some Nicole Hannah-Jones 1619 Project shenanigans, Abraham X. Kennedy pushing theories, narratives that are completely false upon our children and American public, so much so that now you have the government considering race in its hiring practices, which is completely illegal and totally regressive. The letter from Cruz is addressed to Mark Greenblatt. Is that how you guys say it? Greenblatt, whatever, hell. The chairman of the Council of Inspector General on Integrity and Efficiency. Who knew there was a thing? Doesn't this sound like just a waste of your money? You know what I mean? Like how many councils do we have that just seem like a complete waste? So this is the council DEI agenda. The report from the CIGIE, an independent government agency, specifically encourages offices of inspectors general to consider race in their hiring practices and administer unconscious bias training to employees. You want to know one of the problems with unconscious bias is that it's unconscious. You don't know that you have this bias. And just because you go through a training and you try to sit there and expose somebody's unconscious bias doesn't actually mean, one, that they have any bias to begin with. And just because their actions might show a disproportional outcome that you think is discriminatory or is racist, might not be anything of the sort. And it just might be by the fact of sheer numbers or sheer just sampling, or hell, however you want to portray this scenario that I'm explaining. It just might just be the dint of how things played out. Doesn't mean that there's any bias. Doesn't mean that there's unconscious bias. Doesn't mean there's discrimination. Doesn't mean that there's racism. It was just the fact that things unraveled and just happened the way that they happened. But because there's disparities, must be racism. Because of the disparities in data, there must be discrimination. Because of the disparities, there must be this or that. So they're going to push these unconscious bias trainings, which we've seen so many times. Just because you sit there and you have kumbaya with the banjo doesn't mean that anything's going to come of it. Why? Because it's unconscious. And just because something was unconscious and you revealed it still might not be anything to do with racism or discrimination. Complete waste of time. Complete waste of time. Let's play a scenario out here. You have a racist, okay? Dude's a full-fledged racist, evil scumbag. It's not even unconscious. It's just a bias that he has. It's complete racism. Do you think by him going through a training that all of a sudden he's going, yep, you're right. Oh, God, I've been wrong my entire life. I was a racist. Let me just fix my ways all of a sudden. Really? Really? And by the way, usually the people that have to go through these trainings aren't the racists, aren't the people that are discriminatory in any way, shape, or form. One dude acts like an idiot. All of you get brought in for this training for some odd reason, and everybody gets screwed. There's so many things wrong with it. Quote, inspectors general play a crucial role in holding federal agencies in check and protecting taxpayer dollars, Cruz noted in the opening of the letter. That is why it is so disappointing, rather, that instead of focusing on its important mission, CIGIE is blindly advancing the Biden administration's partisan policy goal of diversity, equity, inclusion. You want to know why this doesn't work out? You don't have to look any further than what we just covered in the last segment. Green jump here. Can't answer a question, fumbles through her words, relies on a notebook that doesn't answer anybody's questions, which is remarkable because that thing is thicker than ever. That's a diversity hire, folks. I don't care about one's race. I don't care about one's ethnicity. I don't care about one's gender. I care about this. I care about your character. Where does that come from? Oh, I don't know, Martin Luther King. Yeah, I care more about your character than I do about your race. I don't think your race has anything to do with anything. But for some reason, it is such a cornerstone of the Democrat Party to constantly bring up race. Folks, we have black people that watch the show. We have Hispanics that watch the show. We have all ethnicities that watch the show. And we love you. It has nothing to do with your race because we don't care. We don't care about your race. We care about who you are as an individual. You're a good person. You want the best for this country. You live a good life. You don't break the laws. All those things. I care about your character, who you are as an individual. The Democrats care about your race. Everything has to do about race. And that's why with unconscious bias here, regardless of whether that bias comes out or not, because it's unbiased, you're still a racist. You're still discriminatory. Why? Because whatever actions you were doing portrayed a sit there or portrayed a disparity in data, and they're going to correlate that to racism. That's what they do. So Senator Cruz's letter comes as federal agencies have worked to embed the DEI agenda throughout the bureaucracy following a June 2021 executive order from President Joe Biden that cemented the ideology in the government. Isn't it just lovely? And there's a reason why I'm going to plug it. You know, folks, it's my birthday. Let me plug it, okay? You want to give me a birthday present? Like, you know what? I'm going to utilize it, right? So it's leverage. It's leverage. My book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America, folks. Would love your support on this bad boy. Took a long time to write it. It's been exactly 1 year. I mean, it's amazing how we hit 50,000 subscribers on my birthday. No joke, and this was not planned. My book came out. It was published. It was released on my birthday. That was not planned. They didn't know my birthday. I didn't have any say in it. This bad boy came out exactly 1 year ago to the day. And heck, 3 years ago, almost to the day too, when we started this channel, I think it was February 27th, we had 0 subscribers. We have 50 freaking thousand. All thanks to you folks. If you're enjoying the show, again, hit that like and subscribe button. So Joe Biden trying to destroy our country from the inside out, which I talk about in my book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. You're seeing it in real time. And check this out. It says right here, quote, considering skin color in employment practices is immoral. Correct. And claiming that such actions are necessary to advance DEI are inherently racist ideology. Yes. They don't see it that way, though, which is wild. You're going to sit there and elevate somebody else's race because you don't have a certain quota in your corporation or your company above other races is racist. Democrats used to think so. And somehow now they don't. As to why, I don't know. I'm with all of you on that. I don't know. Does not change that it is also plainly and willfully illegal. And they're still pushing it. Cruz, in his letter, outlines the guidance given by the CIGIE, which includes the development of quarterly reports on professional development, attrition, rewards, retention, and promotion about action by race, as well as annual human capital planning decisions with senior leaders, hiring officials, and managers to develop a targeted hiring and recruitment plan for its increasing demographic diversity. It's so insane, you guys. In addition to alleging that the policies are illegal, Cruz contends that they are unconstitutional in light of the Supreme Court's decision in Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard. If you recall, this is what affirmative action is. Affirmative action is racist. Instead of hiring people, you're admitting people into your institution, which hell is basically hiring them, right? You're just not paying them. In some cases, you actually are if they're a student. Affirmative action is racist. You're elevating people based on their race above other races because of just the color of their skin, or in other words, their race. You should care more about somebody's characteristics, who they are as an individual. I know I'm repeating myself, but holy smokes, folks, it is wild what's going on in the country. We're constantly going backwards rather than moving forward. But there's more to this article. I implore you, head over to the Daily Wire. Heck, head over to Fox News, where all of our articles came from today. Either one, folks. Phenomenal stuff coming from Fox News and the Daily Wire. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. Share this with your friends and family all over social media. The members, I think the members have spoken. They want this to go to premiere so we can have fun in the live chat. I'll be honest, I missed the live chat too. We weren't getting that with the members only stuff because it makes me just upload it like a video. But here I can actually premiere it. So I think what we'll do, we'll keep it open for a few hours, and then we'll revert it back to the memberships, so it won't be out there in the public for too long, no longer than 24 hours. The members have spoken. It's a democracy. It's a republic. But thank you so much for the birthday wishes in the live chat in the comment section. Always appreciate it. And folks, really, thank you for 50,000. You guys are putting up with my shenanigans, my rants. You know, I'm a knucklehead. I'm an average American just like all of you. I'm not any different. I'm not better than any of you. I just sit here and ramble on the mic, and I have a camera in front of me, and, you know, hey, a growing following. But that's all thanks to you guys. We got an awesome community here of patriots that love this country. They love the show. They love the values that we hold, and we want to keep that going forward. We conserve the values that are good. Democrats clearly do not. So with that being said, thank you so much, patriots. Always great to see you with you, or be with you rather. And I'll see you tomorrow here on the Will Brett Show.